Hello and welcome everyone to this tutorials on Microsoft Excel, a very critical portion of uh, every person in the IT industry or any other industry, every user of different software products. It becomes extremely critical for you to have basic knowledge about Microsoft Excel. So what we will do in this session, the first session, is we will look at an Excel. We will look at creating a simple project and learning some of the basic components of Microsoft Excel. How can we do some simple formatting? How can we store, sort records, create a few filters, and so on. All right. So to do this, what I will do is, instead of going in a very theoretical manner and explaining the concepts, we will take a scenario which gives us some kind of a starting point and a set of starting data to work with. Based on that, we will be able to learn as process of that creating various things in the Excel. Now, let me give you a quick simple scenario. A scenario where, let's say that you are planning a event. When you are planning an event, there are different components that go into making it. The first thing is you need to list down the guests that you want to invite. Correct? Let's say you're planning for your kid's first birthday or second birthday event, and you want to call your friends and family, co-workers, and so on, right? So you need to list the guests down. Then you need to send them invites over email and so on. Finally, you need to also track who's coming, who's not coming, and that will help you to count the number of people and be able to do a budget, a plan of the venue, and execute the event itself, right? So as part of this process, you need to keep a note of what you're doing. So you could list down your guests in a piece of paper, but let's say that I've used a notepad out here. And I said that very briefly, what are the names of the people who are coming, and probably most of them may be coming with their family. Where do they live for now? So let's say the event is being planned in LA, but we also have friends who are in San Francisco who might drive down. But we also have friends and relations who live in a different city. We want to invite them, but we don't know if they'll come or not, right? So I put down a few names. The toughest part of thinking through a few names and putting some random names is done now. So now what I'm saying is, this is one way to look at data. Okay, how do we see data representation here? Is this is one way. The other way to do it is using Microsoft Excel, and the reason Microsoft Excel gives you a better platform for this kind of data is manifold. It's not just one reason, but you will see simply out here that, let's say I want to identify how many people are coming with Mark. So I'll say Mark plus 2, let's say Sri plus 3, VJ plus 1, all right, and Sam plus 0. So I am able to individually say how many people are coming with the invited guests. Now, how many people are coming in total? How many people have accepted to come? Can I look at everyone who is coming and who are in Los Angeles? Can I sort everyone based on their first name? How about kids who are coming in? And then what is the average number of people coming from LA, or average family size, and so on. Various things that you want to be able to do further will get more and more complicated when you have your data stored in a simple text document. Then what do? You create a Excel document. So let's go ahead, create a first Excel document. So I'm using Microsoft Office, and we are going to use the latest version of it, the Office 2010 version. Okay, now as part of this Excel 2010, you can also use and store them as .xls or the 97 2003 format work. You can save them as a different version, but so either you have the older version of Excel or the newer version, that is fine. The features and the functionality and how to work with Excel is very important. So what I did is I created a new file by right clicking and saying new Microsoft Excel worksheet. Okay, now I am having the workbook open. what you see when you open up a Microsoft Excel document is you see something called as a workbook. A workbook is actually like a physical book that you carry in your hand. A book can have many pages that you can write information on. Similarly, a Excel workbook can have many sheets that you can write information on. These sheets are like pages in your book. So the Excel sheets are contained in an Excel workbook. I could add more sheets or even delete existing sheets, but at least I have one sheet with it. Okay, so let's say that this is the sheet I want to use to store the data. So the first thing I will do is rename the sheet, something that is more logical to me. So I will say this is the guests sheet. This will give me the ability to know when I look at it as a tab that, oh, okay, this is the guests sheet and this is where I can put information. The reason I'm showing you this is a lot of people know how to work with Excel, and I'm not saying that I'm bringing something new to the table. All I'm trying to enhance is there is a specific way of doing it, a best practice of doing it. So how do you name it? How do you color it? Do you give gaps? Do you what do you try and highlight? How do you show your data? How do you organize it? All those things, those tips about it is very critical. So please listen carefully to some of these concepts that I try and explain to you. Now what is happening is I have a different format than what I had. Here was my earlier format and now here is my new format. So your Excel sheet is like a table. A table has many rows in it and it has many columns in it. The numbers are the rows, the columns are these alphabetical representations here. Okay, so you could store data in each of the cell. So if I, for example, copy this entire thing and put everything here, so if I double click, I can start to write information in it. Okay, so let's say I double click one of this cell and I paste data. Now what has happened? All the data from Los Angeles has come where? In one cell. Every box that you see in an Excel sheet is your cell, is an Excel cell, and an Excel cell has a specific address as well. What is the address, for example, of this cell that I've currently highlighted? It is column C, row 2. So anytime if I want to refer to a specific cell, I can say column C, row 2. For example, now I am saying column A, row 1. What cell is this? This is this cell, the first one. The first row, first column should actually be the guest name. So the first row is in fact going to be a column name, a column against which I will start putting data. The next column is going to be the location of the guest. Alright, and then I will put email in another column, and I'll put total guests out here in another column. Alright, let us say for now I have 4 sets of data. Okay, a guest name, a location, a email, and the total guests. Now I should not represent all my data in one cell. This cell A2 is currently holding all the data for Los Angeles. This is not the way we want to represent. Why? Because to represent data, we need it to be in a organized fashion. So the way I should represent here is, I should say this is Mark, I should say this is Sri, this is Vijay, and so on. Now since my data is already in this format, I will copy this data and I will click on this cell here and paste it. Automatically what the paste functionality will do is take every row from a text file and put it into a new cell and a new row in the Excel file as well. Okay, so if I want to edit, I can double click on the cell and delete the content I want to edit. If I can also use the shortcut key F2 to edit a specific cell. To edit that specific cell, once I click on F2, I can type what I want. Okay, but right now I'm just saying it is Bob. Now Where are all these guests located? They are located in Los Angeles. So I am going to copy Los Angeles and put it in one cell. Now this is the location, but this location is common to all these guests. So what can I do in that case? I can copy the same thing and put them all in that. So to copy, Control C as a shortcut, and then you paste everything into the other cells. Now what I have done is I have converted the data from my text into a little bit more organized data in here. Now let's try and repeat the same for the others. So I'm going to copy the remaining three names here, not the remaining, but the next three names, and the city San Francisco, and paste it in one cell. Okay, or before pasting I can select all the cells and do a Control V. This way it should have got copied into everything. It didn't, but that's okay. Now all I need to do is do a Control C and paste it. Alternately, I can also just generally drag the remaining cells like this and say that take the same data and extend it into all the cells. Okay, let's do it for the last three also. So I got these last three, and the city there is Chicago. Okay, Chicago. Now copy, paste. So I have now taken my data from my project out here and put it into a Excel. Only two columns that have data in it. Hey, but column C and D also have data, right? It has some data. Any information is data. Okay, data is nothing but information. So this also has data, but yeah, this is a column name. This is not really a data. Column name is basically saying that everything in this specific column called A is a guest name. So I cannot go and put a New Jersey out here, or I cannot go and put a Dallas out here. Actually, it's not about I cannot, it is about I should not. There is no restriction of you not doing it. It is just that you should not be doing it. Okay, it is what your data is. Now all this data that is there so far is put into the guest sheet. So now that you've done this, just do a save. Now we will do a little bit of formatting. Number one is, do you see these cells having certain borders? A gray, simple, thin line, right? What is this doing? This is giving you a visual that how the data is separated. So if I do a Control A, that is basically select everything in this worksheet, and I go here to my formatting section where the font can be formatted or the fonts can be used, and I choose to see what kind of a border I want to give for all the text that I've currently selected, and say no border. Okay, oops, no border, and but choose the background to be white. Do you see this? The fill color is basically what do you want to fill for all your cells. Okay, so if I select, do a Control A, select everything, and then I go and use white, what will happen now is that it will show you no borders and the background is completely white. Is this a better representation, or what we had here is a better representation? This is a little better, correct? Definitely yes, but I don't want to see these cells also having that kind of a look. Why should I have borders for cells with no data or no information in it? So what I'm going to do is do a Control A, select everything and make sure that it is no border, and give it a background of white. Now what you have done, you have made sure that everything in your sheet has the following background, nothing. Now select the columns and the rows, or rather the cells where you have data, and put just borders for that. And let's say you want to put all borders. Now what has happened is you have data sorted in a little better fashion. Just to make this visible in a larger fashion, I will use the zoom out here and increase the font. Okay, now what are we doing? We are storing information. and we are formatting the information so that what we store can be in a good manner, organized in a good fashion. Now, see, if you note this, just because these cells are Los Angeles and these cells are San Francisco, I am not dividing them using a new blank row in between. Especially, please listen to this carefully, is that you should not store just blank cells as a divider to be able to identify what each of these sections are. All this is Los Angeles, all this is San Francisco. The way we are doing it is by inserting a new row in between them. No, why? Because you have data here, so you need to be able to do more operations with it. So never have empty rows altogether unless you intend to put something in there. Okay, now the reason I'm saying that is you could change the layout a little bit. How? You could say that, hey, you know what, this is heading, so I want this to stand out. I want to increase the font size of this specific row only. So I've selected those cells and I said, let's make it size 16 and let's put a bold on it. Why did I do this? So that I could differentiate my header or the column names from the actual data. Okay, now to do a further differentiation, what I can do is give only these cells a basic background color. That way I can now very easily see which is what. Okay, so at this point what we've done is we've stored the data as is. Now let's say that I enter some email. Okay, the best way for me to enter email is I'll just copy this, take a new text document, put all of this information there. Now what I'm doing basically here is that I have taken two columns, mark, the guest name and the location from the Excel, and I put it into the text document. Now what I'll do is, this is all editing, basically what I'm doing as an edit. Okay, I'm going to do a Control H, find what, just an empty space and replace with at, and see if it will do this. Oh no, it is doing it here and I cannot do that editing here. I can do it easily in a Word document but not here. Let me do this. Control C, Control C. I'm going to do a WinWord. In a WinWord what I could do is copy and paste this. There are different characters. Los and Angels in between is a space. Mark and Los in between, this is a tab. So if I do a Control H and I say find what, replace with what, and I select, let's say for example, a tab character. Okay, special tab character. This caret T is a tab character as per word, and say replace that with at, and say replace all. Alright, so what I've basically done is very simple. I have replaced all the tabs with an at. Why did I do this? Just as a small, simple, quick way for me to randomly generate some data that we can use. What is the data I wanted to use? I wanted to create an email. So I said, let the email structure be a guest name at location.com. Is it a right location? Is it the correct data? No, but for our project purpose, to create this Excel template, this is fine. Okay, so that is what we're doing in this Word. So where is the Word document? Oh, okay, out here. So I did a Control H, I did a find what, replace with what. Find a caret T and replace with an at. Now that you've replaced it with an at symbol, all this has come. I also have spaces. Emails cannot have spaces, so I'll take a space out here and replace with what? Nothing. So what it should do is it should delete all the spaces that are there. So wherever there were empty spaces has been deleted. Now what I will do is at the end of every line I will put a .com. This I can do it quickly out here. It's not a tough thing. There you go. So now I have a new set of data. Hopefully if I take this data and I put it in email, it should get copied. Now do you see what has happened? All the data from the Word did get copied out here, but at the same time something else also has happened, right? What is that something else that has happened? is that it has taken out the borders from the data. Why? When it copied it from the Word, basic copy will copy even the format of it and put it in that fashion. So to do it in a proper manner, what you can do is you can use the right click and do a paste options. The paste options will show you the different options. What does the first option do? It will keep the data and the format. Format is basically how it should look. For example, we give borders. The first name, the column names are in a bold with a blue background in a larger size. Okay, so that's a format that we're still developing. We have not yet ended to make it. So this is how it will copy for the first one. The second option is only copies the data, and it is matching the destination formatting. See, every time you do a copy paste in the newer version of Excel, you have this option to be able to paste data and also be able to identify what format you want to do. We will be experimenting a lot more as we go forward about formats, copy paste and so on, because a lot of what we do with the data has to do a lot with this editing of how we represent information. Alright, okay, so now we have put the emails out here. Let's say that I put some numbers out here. Mark, total guess he's bringing is 3, 2, 4, 2. I'm just putting some random numbers, please. So nothing to do with any data. So, oops. So 5, 3, 2, oops, 2, 1, 1, 1, 4. These are total guests which are invited. Now, I have put deliberately one character out here called E. If you look at the alignment, when I put a text out here, it is left aligned. When I put a number out here, it is right aligned. Right aligned is that specific data is aligned to the right side of that cell. Okay. Now what you can do is you can talk about what is the data type. Okay. So if I click on this entire set of data, this column D. Okay. So everything in this column D, I can go and talk about what type of data does this belong, and here are some existing formats, or you could choose a specific format. Okay, so you can say that this is either text, then it will say that everything is text, so automatically do a left alignment, or you can say that this is a number, then it will say that okay, numbers can also have decimals. You can also choose it to have no decimals and choose that decrease the decimal spaces. 2 decimals, no. 1 decimal, no. No decimals, yes. This is what we want. Okay, so you can choose what type of data you put into it. That way you control your set of information that you're putting into this. Now when we come and work with dates and currencies and so on, it will become even more interesting and better as we keep going into new things. So now what we've done is stored data in a simple format, not a very complex format, very simple but easy to look at. Now there are 2 or 3 more very important things that I want to introduce. Okay, how do we sort records and how do we create filters in the Excel? Okay, very important for you, for anyone, because these are the standard building blocks for everything that will come next in a Microsoft Excel. I want to, for example, sort all the guests by their names. Alphabetically, I want to organize the guests by the names. How do we do it? I can do it by clicking on the column or the cell of the column which I want to sort. Okay, and now go to the view section of it. View, data. There you go, sort. It is the data is what we want to sort, but this should also be there, there you go, as a shortcut in the main menu. So if you don't see it in the main menu, then you can go into the data, okay, and see how you want to sort the data. Excel gives you the power to be able to do a lot of these functions with inbuilt control. So automatically it tells us what we can do, where we can do, and so on. Now what I can do is say that I want to sort everything in the guest name cell in this column. So all I'm going to do is click on this and choose what option. I want to sort A to Z. That is, start with A as your first character, A to Z. So increasing values of your characters. And now let's sort it. Now do you see what has happened? It has recognized this to be the first column, the first row to be the column names, and it has sorted everything else. Now, did it sort only one column A, or did it also do it for B, C, D? B column is not sorted. C column seems to be sorted. But Andy at Los Angeles and Andy at Chicago, in that order, Andy at Chicago should come before this. So this is also not sorted. And even this is not sorted in terms of guess. All that it did is it took a priority to sort it by the first name. That's it. You could add additional sort filters and say that custom sort. Here you could say that, you know what, I want to sort by guest name and values. You can add additional levels to it and say then sort by total guess and smallest to largest, and say okay. So now you say not only am I sorting it by the first name, but then when there is a need, I want the lowest number of guests to come up. Why are we doing all this? This is to control how you want to view your data. Okay, so sorting is an important feature which we will come to an extent later, but very important for you to know that you could sort based on criteria. So for example, now I did a new sort and I said sort by guest name in decreasing order. How? So I went here and I said sort it by largest to smallest. Okay, now next comes the concept of filter. Filter is basically, like this funnel says, let's only certain information out of it. What does a funnel or a filter actually do? Let's say you put a filter and you put a paper of a specific thickness or with specific sized holes in it, and you start pouring sand in it. So what that filter will do is it will only let those specific data which is of that size of sand particles of that whole size or smaller to sink in or to go through the funnel. The other things are filtered out. So the rocks, the stones and so on, which is bigger, is filtered out. So filter gives you an ability to look at only specific things. So why and how, when you select the cell names where you want to apply the filter, let's say all of these, and you go in here and say filter, what it will do is it will give you the ability to be able to filter down on basic rules. Rules like, for example, I only want to see, look at location and say that I only want to see people who are in San Francisco, and say okay. Now what we have done is we have made a filter based on a location and saying that only this is the set of data I'm interested to see. Or I could add additional filters. First let's select all, so that all the filters, there is no specific filter and I see all the data, and say I want to see filters where guests are 4 or 5 in size. So bigger group sizes. Who are all the people with coming as bigger groups? Or I want to filter with 4 and 5 and who are in Los Angeles. See, bigger local groups. So my data with what I had started as a very simple text format is now being organized and handled in a much more efficient way through a simple Excel. And that's your starting point of how you can start to sort your data, format your data, create filters and so on. Now when we come back to the next, we will get into the formulas. Because Excel comes up with a beautiful system that will let you do so much with so much of ease. Okay, so let's put this as is and leave this for the project one. We're going to come back, continue this project one with the formula concept in the next session. Till then, bye for now and see you soon. Thank you.